Putting on the vest is quick and simple. Just latch both buckles. The top smaller third buckle is optional and only required for certain exercises. It's usually best to set it tight so as to avoid slipping and sliding. Attach the carabiners to the loops or even to the belt, then attach the bands. Or you can first attach the carabiner to the bands and then attach to the vest. For wider bands, you may need to flex or fold the band before putting it into the carabiner. Be sure not to allow the bands to get caught in the carabiner latch so you don't accidentally damage your bands. In order to recreate traditional exercises, simply attach the carabiners where the weights or machine resistance would normally be. Keep in mind you can have the bands going straight down, you can cross them, you can have them looping all over the body. One can also experiment with different anchor and attachment points to recreate unique exercises and different angles of resistance. For example, by merely changing the anchor points, starting with the bands at the hips, then gradually moving up the back, one can recreate belt squats, Zercher squats, goblet squats, low and high bar back squats, front squats, good mornings, and so on. You can run the bands through the carabiners for pressing exercises. For example, having the carabiners low on your back allows you to do incline pressing movements. One could do wall presses, feet elevated push-ups, incline dumbbell presses, or incline barbell presses. Looping the bands high on the back allows you to recreate exercises like dips, tricep pushdowns, and various types of decline pressing. Decline push-ups, decline dumbbell presses, and decline barbell presses. To adjust the tension and resistance of a given band, you attach the band to a farther anchor point, then run it through the intended primary carabiner that you're using to create the exercise you want to do. For example, with the carabiners at the collarbones to duplicate front squats, you can attach the carabiners from the front or back, then run them through those primary carabiners on the collarbones, increasing the tension for that front squat. You can adjust the tension for your bands on nearly all exercises. By connecting the bands at different anchor points, as well as controlling the directions you wrap the bands, you can create different exercises and therefore isolate different muscles. Using the earlier example, by moving from belt squat to Zercher to goblet, the back, front squats, good mornings, you can shift the resistance onto different muscles. For pressing, simply changing the angle from upwards to downwards can shift the tension from the upper to the lower chest. Pressing with hands closer will involve chest and triceps, whereas moving the hands further apart will move more stress onto the chest. Rowing with hands close together tends to work the rhomboid muscles near the spine, whereas a wider grip will tend to shift the workload out onto the lats. Here are some basic guidelines. To isolate the quads, attach the bands to the front, usually the upper chest, then run them down while doing a squatting motion. To isolate the hamstrings, attach the bands on the upper chest, run them down and back, either to your feet or to a door anchor or to an object like a squat rack, then do a stiff-legged hip hinge movement like good mornings or pull-throughs or stiff-legged deadlifts. To specifically isolate the glutes, attach the bands on the lower back, then wrap the bands around to the front, cross them and loop them behind each opposite ankle around to the front and stand on each band. This will hit the glutes during squatting and hip hinge movements, or as shown during the pancakes and glutes video. This configuration can even work your glutes just by standing and walking around. When doing pressing movements with barbells, dumbbells, or push-ups, you run the bands through the carabiners so as to keep them from sliding up or down your back as you push at the appropriate angles. This allows you to maintain an incline or decline resistance angle of the bands during push-ups, dumbbells, and barbell. The band stays in your upper and lower back and doesn't slide around, allowing you to maintain the proper angle. Our unique wrist and ankle straps allow you to properly perform isolation exercises, such as leg extensions to work on the quads, seated hamstring curls, lying hamstring curls, kickbacks for the glutes, knees for the hip flexors, and so on. Our straps also allow you to add resistance to sports-specific movements, even do advanced techniques such as overloaded weight releasers on the first rep negatives of a given set. One can use the VictoryVest simultaneously with weights and machines to amplify the effect, to force a certain muscle group to work harder and bring up those lagging muscles. Since bands involve accommodating resistance, meaning they increase tension as you stretch them, using the vest simultaneously with traditional exercises also teaches you to accelerate through the movement and increases speed and power generation. Notice how you can attach the bands on the front or the back, hitting quads versus the glutes and hams, and configure them as such while doing either a back or a front squat. So you can hit muscles not otherwise worked by the free weights, or add bands to add resistance to muscles already being worked. And let's be honest, very few people have properly developed glutes. So if you're not sure what to do, it would be a safe bet to say that everyone should just configure the VictoryVest to target the glutes, then go do your regular workout that you're already doing. Walking, running, jumping, squatting, deadlifting, whatever. Just throw in the vest, configure for the glutes, and go do whatever it was you were already going to do. As a side note, you'll notice that if you need to work between the legs as you would with kettlebell swings and snatches, or for certain exercises like cable pull-throughs, then you'll want to configure the bands like this for your glutes. Anchored at the back, come around to the front, but then take each band straight down to each leg instead of crossing. That way the area is open for you to swing the kettlebells, pull the cable, and so on. When doing multiple exercises in quick succession like interval training, high-intensity sets, compound lifting, station work, and so on, you can either use the VictoryVest for a single exercise and then drop it for the consecutive exercises, or preload the vest with bands already set up for each exercise. One of my personal favorites is to do glute thrusts followed immediately by good mornings or squats. I do this with just the bands, but also simultaneously with weights and kettlebells.